The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Go to the church, though.
Tawali man, what's up?
Man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, Lukoda. Do you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk. The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
A very good morning, Uganda. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is another fresh day to thank God, the 3rd of November, 2025. My name is Kenneth Rwemirembe. You are watching the Alternative Dig Talk TV, and this is the Mighty Drive Show. But we usually come in here with this segment of the Mighty Global News Updates, a special moment where we take you through what's happening in our country, Uganda, and the stories that are shaping conversations, and sometimes even taking you outside Uganda. We believe you're having a good day over there. The P7 candidates are sitting their final examinations today. We do wish you success to the parents, teachers, and all the pupils. We wish you very well. We thank God that you're watching us, and we do ask you to tap that subscribe button. That is if you're watching us for the very first time. Join tens of thousands of people that trust us as a reliable source of information. By doing that, you're contributing to the betterment of our country, Uganda, and the world at large. Here we prioritize matters of national importance, matters that make Uganda and the world a better place to live in. Now let me take you deeper through the stories we are having this fresh morning, including the story of Kampala. We were seeing that Kampala floods are now taking over almost all the shops near Nachivubo drainage channel. Now we saw businessmen yesterday crying out. We have been seeing this for days. They are saying that the government has not helped them. They are accusing the businessman known as Ham for the cause of all of this. They say that Ham project, we were telling you here about the Nachivubo project, where Hamis Chigundu is trying to establish buildings atop the Nachivubo drainage channel. Now many people came out criticizing that, including the Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago, among other individuals who came out to oppose this, of course, citing out there would be problems. Now floods are taking over some shops. We saw after these rains that have been raining, the shops where the items were floating on top of water. Everyone is condemning the Nachivubo construction for being one of the reasons as to why these floods are coming in. The people are saying that the construction of the Nachivubo drainage channel should stop as soon as possible, and if that does not happen, these businessmen are going to continue making more and more losses. Of course, the drainage channel has been having some stories around it, with some saying that Hamis Chigundu just asked the president of Uganda to allow him. He did not follow the right procedure, and that this, of course, these were some of the challenges that would come out of this. Now, we are still waiting for the government to intervene. Yesterday, we saw the executive director of KCCA, and that is Sharifa Buzeki, telling these business people to stay calm, and he promised them that the government was really trying to find out what were the real causes, and if they find out what caused these floods, the government is ready to intervene, and even promise some businessmen that they might be compensated, which these businessmen want. They want to be compensated. Some days back had started protesting, though the security forces were there to control this protest. Now we are waiting to see what happens next after assurance from the executive director KCCA, Sharifa Buzeki, who had gone there to see the level or to see the extent of damage that was caused by the floods, where these businessmen and women lost goods worth millions and millions of Uganda shillings, and we really stand with all those that were affected, and we pray that everything goes on well. Now moving on, as yesterday we learned about the attack of the UPDF barracks in Bundibujo, where an identified assailants who had machete or pangas attacked the barracks in Bundibujo and burnt out the houses there in the barracks. We have learned that at least 19 people have been were killed by the security forces and 40 arrested following this tragic event. The military officials are saying that they have identified the suspect or the leader of this group as Muganzi, and that the security forces, they are working so hard to find out what really inspired these people to do such a thing and attack the barracks. Though some people had started fleeing the place, some are leaving the barracks trying to look for more peaceful areas, but the security forces have come out to now clarify that the entire region of Rwenzururu is safe and is under a close eye of the security personnel, that people do not have to fear anything. Everything is being controlled. Now some people had started saying that these rebels could have been maybe sent by some opposition figures in the government or even the kingdom of Rwenzururu, but these security officials, including the RDC, came out and said for now they do not have any information that is linking these people to the kingdom or ADF. Even they are saying that they are making thorough investigations to find out who these people are. He said that some of them actually have been they have been able to identify them to know even their families, meaning that for now they do not have any links that show whether these people have connections with the kingdom or even other political figures in the country. That for now, at least that information is fake, and as the UPDF, they distance themselves from that message. Whoever preaches that gospel is telling lies. That was it from there, and we really wish all the best to the people there and to those who have been attacked. We pray that everything goes on well. Now moving on, the presidential race is firing up each day, as I have been telling you here in the Mighty Drive. And now yesterday, General Mugisha Muntu Bikobere was in Wakiso asking the people there to support the Alliance for National Transformation, where he is the presidential flag bearer, asking them to vote him into office, that he will do everything he can to make sure Uganda enjoys the development it has never faced or even experienced. He talked about the issue of land grabbers, where he said that the land grabbers have been having an upper hand in the government, so that's why this has been failing for most of the times, especially those moves that have been put there to make sure they curb down this vice of land grabbing. He promised the people that everything will be better. They will enjoy their country, Uganda. That is if they vote the Alliance for National Transformation and himself, General Gregory Mugisha Muntu Oyera. Now, Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu today is expected to be in Butambala and Gomba. You saw yesterday the people of those particular areas coming out to ask the police this time around not to disrupt his rally by trying to change the routes he is expected to use, that they should not disrupt any of his campaign rallies today. That is Honorable Kyagulanyi there, expected to be in Gomba and Butambaland. If any other more information comes out, we'll be here to give you more information. And that's what we are committed to. That's why we always remind you to tap the subscribe button and above all tap the notification bell, such that whenever we go online, you're the first to receive the notification that now the people are live giving reliable information. I always tell you that this is the only information you can rely on to make an informed decision. The information that is a non-partisan, that is meant for the good of all of us, not a section or group of people, but for the whole of us. Now, yesterday still, Honorable Mubaraka Munyagwa, who is now the presidential flag bearer for the Common Man's Party, was in Ntungamo. Speaking to journalists, he said, I talked about the Balalo issue, where he said that the government, we were telling you here in our other news sometime back, that the government had evicted all the Balalo who were allegedly not meeting the criteria for being that particular area, some that never had the necessary documents to keep them there. Now the government evicted most of them, and now Honorable Munyagwa says this was not done for the good of the Acholi people. It was done, these Balala were evicted because there are some mafias, as he said, that there were some mafias in the government who were now trying to evict these Balala such that they could take over that land and even sell it to investors, that this was not done for the good of the people. This comes at a moment where these Balalo are crying. We saw them, they were crying, saying that the government was not even minding about them. They didn't know what next. Some of them had gotten loans to buy land in northern Uganda. Now that they were being chased away, this was leaving their life at stake. Even they never knew where to go. They never knew the next thing they could do. They were just stranded, but the government insisted that they had to leave Acholi and leave it in peace. Now, Honorable Munyagwa says this was not done for the good of Ugandans, but for a few individuals he called the mafias in the government who are now trying to sell that land or to even make it their own and sell it to investors. After there, he headed to Rukunjiri, and today he is concluding his campaign trail in Ankore and Chigezi, asking the people as well to vote him into office of the president. The question is, will he go through that? For now, still we cannot answer that question. It will be answered by the Electoral Commission of Uganda after he is contested with all the other seven presidential candidates. We will be here to tell you who will have at least one. Just trust us and stay with us always. We will keep you informed with the best information you can rely on. Now, moving on still in Sebeira sub-region, following the landslides that happened that side of Sebei, the government has now promised to compensate the people, and to even that the government is planning to purchase land for these people, especially those in risky areas where the landslides could actually happen again and kill people. Of course, the landslides killed some people there. We have learned that at least 16 people died, and this was the report from the police, and that even animals, a lot of things were lost, as you're seeing on that screen. Those areas of Sebei have been for so long attacked by these landslides. It remains a very bad thing there. It's a huge disaster, and the government that is working so hard to make sure they get land for them where they will be, where they'll live in peace. This was confirmed by Minister for Disaster Preparedness, Lydian Abel, who promised that the government is working so hard to make sure they get new land where they will live in peace. Now, taking you to Tanzania, Chadema party has rejected the electoral the election results, where we saw the sitting president Samia Suluhu win with 98%. Now the Chadema says this was not an election, it was not free and fair. The president, Samia Suluhu Hassan, is facing some criticism from some people, including the Chadema party, that she is becoming a dictator after now succeeding the late John Pombe Magufuli after he was suddenly lost him. Now they are saying that Samia Suluhu Hassan is turning everything to the worst in Tanzania, with so many people coming on the streets to protest, saying that this election was not free and fair. At a time where the opposition, the top opposition figure, Tundu Lissu, is in custody. He was arrested on charges of treason after coming out to campaigns to ask for people to prioritize, to spread the message of electoral reforms. In Tanzania, it is illegal to challenge the election results. Now Tundu Lissu was saying that he cannot participate, or the Chadema party cannot participate in an election where such laws are still in place, where one is not allowed to challenge the election results. In any courts of law, this is barred by the Constitution of Tanzania. One is not allowed to challenge the elections in Tanzania after the results have been declared and the winner is declared. Now, of course, Chadema party was excluded in the race, now leaving a room for Samia Suluhu to win in a landslide victory, getting almost 98% there. That is it from Tanzania. The internet access is restricted. There's nationwide curfew, and the environment is like that. We saw some Kenyans actually trying to cross the border to enter Tanzania. They were saying that they wanted to help the brothers and sisters in Tanzania to protest and to demand for their full rights to even promote democracy in their country and get rid of Mama, the current president, Samia Suluhu, as they always call her. That is it in Tanzania, and we will keep you informed, giving you more information. The Chadema says at least 700 people have been killed in these protests, but still the government says that is not true. They are saying that at least those known are less than 10. But that is it from there. We still here. We'll be here to give you more information and what will be happening there, even here in Uganda. All you need to do is stick with us. Always the mighty drive continues. But for now, let's just take you to today in history. Did you know this happened on such a day? The 3rd of November, what happened? Let's have it. For now, have a good day. Today in history, we remember Carol Moseley Brown, a trailblazing American politician and diplomat who left an indelible mark on the nation's political landscape. Born on August 16, 1947, Brown's remarkable journey took her to the pinnacle of success, breaking down barriers and shattering glass ceilings along the way.
The blacks won't vote for you because you're not part of the Chicago machine. The whites won't vote for you because you're black, and nobody's going to vote for you because you're a woman. That was all I needed to hear, and that was the beginning of a political career.
As the first African-American woman elected to the U.S. Senate.
This is going to be really simple and plain. Very simple. This is going to be very simple. Now, she just said I was strung out on crack for 20 years.
Brown represented Illinois with distinction from 1993 to 1999.
I just kind of, at that point, people back home in Chicago were encouraging me to come back to Chicago and run for office again, to run for the Senate again, to run for this, run for that. And I had, been there, done that, literally.
Her groundbreaking achievement marked a significant milestone in American politics, paving the way for future generations of women and minorities. During her Senate tenure, Brown championed key issues that impacted the lives of Americans. She was a vocal advocate for education, healthcare, and economic empowerment, working tirelessly to address the pressing needs of her constituents. Her commitment to public service and her ability to build bipartisan coalitions and her respect from her peers and the public alike. Brown's diplomatic career was equally impressive. As U.S. Ambassador to New Zealand and Samoa, she fostered strong diplomatic relations, promoting American interests and values. Her leadership and expertise helped strengthen bilateral ties, facilitating trade, investment, and cultural exchange between the United States and these Pacific nations. In her current role as the chair of the United States African Development Foundation, Brown continues to drive positive change, focusing on economic development and empowerment in Africa. Her work with the foundation has had a lasting impact on the continent, supporting initiatives that promote economic growth, improve healthcare, and enhance education. Throughout her career, Brown has demonstrated a deep commitment to public service and a passion for making a difference in the lives of others. Her legacy serves as a powerful reminder of the impact one person can have on the world. Today, as we reflect on her remarkable life and career, we honor her dedication, perseverance, and trailblazing spirit. Brown's story is an inspiration to anyone who has ever faced obstacles or doubted their ability to make a difference. Her achievements demonstrate that with hard work, determination, and willingness to take risks, anything is possible. Carol Moseley Brown's remarkable life and career offer a testament to the power of public service and the impact one person can have on the world. Kenneth Rubatsimbira, Digitalk TV.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Go to the church, though.
Tawali man, what's up?
Man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, recorder. Did you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk.
Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Bakulisayo okuva mu Mighty Global Updates ate ng'omukulu Kenneth Robert Simbira zibatuusaako bulungi nnyo kakati show yaffe eba etandise mu bujjuvu amannya nze Farida Bikobere mu studios ntuddemu ne human rights lawyer Counsel Kato Tumusiime. We shall be talking about human rights violation, extrajudicial killings eziri mu kugenda mu maaso across Africa kubanga bw'otunuulira Africa now a situation is and Africa is calling for a revolution. Sometimes you feel like they are taking steps and then 2 steps in front and then 3 steps back. But yes, there is something that is showing that a revolution is calling in Africa. Okusinzira ku bintu ebiri mu kugenda mu maaso. In Nigeria waliyo olutalo Muslim and Christians. Era webukeredde olunaku lwaleero nga Trump ayisiza order ateesa amajege ku standby class 1 kubanga ateba protecting abakristaayo bo bagamba nti they are being killed nga batibwa abaisilamu. Ate nga reports ziraga nti tewaliyo kiraga nti abakristaayo batiddwa bangi nnyo as compared to Muslims. But also, yes, that is happening in Nigeria. There is a lot happening in Tanzania. Okuba nti tulabye kuva last week nga bamaze okulonda olunaku olwokusatu protests zibadenga protests, and the opposition reports in over 700 people, citizens of Tanzania, have been killed. By Amnesty International, they also confirm nti over 200 people have been killed. Mwezo protests ezibadde zigenda maaso mu Tanzania. A lot of things have been done, and finally, Samia Suluhu was declared as the president of Tanzania nga awiniza akalu by 98%. Twali wanonga tugamba, how can someone win an election by 99.5? Kagame won that election by 99. Samia Suluhu won by 98. It is something unreal. Though it is happening here in Africa, when we look at what is happening in Sudan, there is a civil war in Sudan taking place. A lot of people have been killed. A lot of people have been displaced. Eranga otalo chagendera ddala maaso. Is it, a state failure? So we are going to be weighing on all those situations that are happening in Africa, but also we shall be concentrating here in Uganda. The campaigns are still going on. Those that are protecting the gains are protecting the gains. Those that are, advocating for a change of state, they are also doing their part. Yesterday, the president of Uganda was protecting the gains in Busabala Magere. To be specific, yabadde agulawo eddwaliro e Magere. President wa Uganda wano. Like I tell you, olutalo lw'abalina ssente luba lwanjawulo. Someone can just come and protect the gains from your neighborhood and you cannot do nothing. Anyway, very good morning. In studios I have Counsel Kato. Era njagala okubanga ate abalamusaako sobola okubanga tugendera ddala Mama, so kwaniriza okubanga tuddeko nawe. Counsel Kato, I am seeing you busy in court. You kind of, you know, oyagala kugendera mu line ya protecting the gains. You are protecting the people that are advocating for change. Advocating for change.
And thank you, Farida, for hosting me this morning. I am glad that I am here. You know, nange kambeko byentesa nzimbe gwanga. Protecting the gains.
You are not protecting the gains. You are not part of the group that is protecting the gains.
Because somebody that has grown in this regime and looking at what gains they are portraying each and every day in all angles, actually. It's very good.
But are there gains that are protecting?
Ebyenfuna by'eggwanga tugende ku mirembe, peace and security of the country, tugende ku infrastructure developments, tugende ku so many things. I wonder which gains we have to protect.
There is nothing
at a personal
protect.
level.
There is not. You really want to say there is nothing
something
to
protect, but there are those that completely have nothing to protect. And there are those that have little, instead of even adding on it, they are ending up losing it. Look at the people in downtown
Kampala.
So which gains are they protecting?
Downtown Kampala, it is really devastating. The situation is
it's
bad.
Good. It's good that you have been following campaign trails of different presidential candidates, the infrastructure up country. Which gains are those people protecting? Surely. You have looked at the poverty, even where President Museveni also cried and said, hey, I couldn't imagine that people are still this poor. So now which gains are we protecting?
There must be something that you're protecting. You can't just come up with a statement that doesn't concretize.
To me, that statement is just to gaslight people with that excitement. Of course, what it means. Kubanga nze ntera okulaba abantu bangi, even those in the leadership of NRM at the top level. Ababuuza which gains specifically, point to which gain and say, Kato, or the young people below the age of 30 or above 35 or above 40, this is what we have to protect. Nahinga naita ina answer.
Nengo mkulu yagambye nti we are protecting the gains, so you go with the statement that was given to you. Well, before we go into the discussion, I want to wish abana abali mukola PLE. But we wish you success. Do not fear the paper. It is a normal exam. Just sit with confidence and we wish you well. Era tubagaliza mwena abagendo tula ebigezo bya PLE indowooza kati muyingidde mu examination hall. We wish you the best. Tubagaliza okubanga ate muitamutu. We also want to condemn the examination malpractice that is taking place. Abasomesa, if you don't do your job, please temuletera abaana abo okukola ebintu ate ebiyinza coming against them in the future, because womukopera ebibuuzo sirowooza nti ojja kubeerayo ng'atuula ebya senior 4 oba ebya senior 6. So you let them obwongo bwabwe bubeeyimirire, obwo naaba tebubeeyimiridde bajja kuddamu next year. They still have time, they are still young, so you let them do what they can do. Ebirala bigaane bugaanye. And I want to cross to downtown Kampala as you have brought it out. So omusuubuzi ali ku kizimbe eyateekako edduuka, and then the floods come and ne byonoona ebintu byabamu nalabye engatto abamu abalina duve nga everything has been spoiled. Ani avunaanyizibwa? If I want to take the legal perspective, njagala kubeerako gwe nvunaana. So who is responsible? Ani gwe ngenda naye mu fight? Because tugenda kunenya Ham yazimba omwala simanyi, because now everyone is pointing at Ham. But also there is some kind of poor waste disposal downtown. And when they are disposing, they do not think about what happens after everything has been dumped mu myala egyo. Kati nze edduuka lyange lyononeddwa. Now I want to look at who am I going to fight with okubeera nga nfuna ka compensation, because here in Uganda twogera ku insurance. I don't think muna Uganda ali mu downtown here asobola kulowooza nti amataba gajja kujja gonone maali yange, so I should go and insure. It is a rare case.
That's what happens on a daily basis.
It's a rare case. So ani avunaanyizibwa mu nsonga eno?
Well, bantu bangi it's true that we have a very, very poor waste management issues everywhere, not even in Kampala alone. Kuba bw'olaba emyala gyonna egisinga wano mu Kampala gijjuddemu bucupa, gijjuddemu buveera, gijjuddemu
ne pampa z'abaana.
Ekyo kyo kituufu. But what we also have to accept is that even when we have that system of poor management of the waste, there are better ways of how we can resolve it. Okay? Nti olese ensonga buli omu gy'abadde ayogerako. The flooding in Kampala and how businesses have been affected.
People have lost
businesses. Telikono munene ono si munene nedda. Kino kyofena
kyabakutte. Especially those abakolera mu basement.
But to say that this issue has been overseen before even they started that construction. Fitwali tukiraba. And the questions we are asking is, what procedure did you follow? Because that's a public land.
Yes.
That if anybody is interested in developing that plan, it wouldn't have been monopolized. But developing a company.
Yes.
If you feel that's the important thing to do, advertise. Call people who are interested in developing, look at their skills, follow the different procedures, make an environmental impact assessment report. So that's to manye. You are trying to redevelop but what are the dangers that can come out of that? What are the advantages? Kampala badda flooding ngo mwara tebana kuziba. Kati omwara baguzibya side demu batandika okuzimba. In the real sense okuzimba oko n'ebintu bibali mukola. It wouldn't have even taken us 3 months if we had somebody really ngaarumirirwa abantu arenga kyayagala kuzimba oba kukola development mu kibuga nga bwe yateekayo plan. Ekyo kyekisooka. Ekyokubiri nti abantu bangi bekikwatako. If you want to take a legal action, tulina abantu bangi ne government nga mweri. Attorney General yasooka. And the best me, in my own view, the best action to take is a human rights violation under the Enforcement of the Human Rights Act. So we get Attorney General hamutomuleka omugattako ne enterprise ye ogigattako eyo company eyatwala eyo eyakkiriza nayo gigattako. Nti oyina abantu bangi nti buli omu mu capacity ye ayina kyalina okuba nga avunaanibwa olw'okuba mu bintu bye bazze nga bakola bye biviiriddeko amatabo kujja ne goonoona emaali y'abantu. And these people are entitled to compensation. They have to be compensated at all levels. Nti buli omu asobola okugendayo in their capacity nga ayinayo edduuka oba nawe Farida nga gwe alumirirwa abantu under Article 50 ogenda mu kooti n'ogamba nze kusinziira ku kyenalabye downtown they deserve to be compensated. Their rights were violated. Ate kooti ejja kuwuliriza ekuwe kyoyagala.
But is there a way singa tuba tetugenze to take legal action? Is there a way government is going to come in and compensate these people at a humanitarian ground?
It can. Olw'okuba tuli mu kalulu. Era olabye ba politician abasinga jo nalabye executive director wa KCCA ng'agendayo as if yali tabiraba. As if guno gwe gusoose. But people have advised
ayizo gamba nti we bayisiza ye teyaliiwo.
Teyaliiwo naye bwe yajja yatandikira ku ki. Naye what I usually see in the electioneering period is that government egenda kuvaayo eddukirira abo abantu. Ejinza obbawa katono naye bajja kutandikirawo. But naye katono kebanaba bawadde kajja kuba tekamala to atone to the damages that they have faced as individuals. So that's frustration in the economic setup ze tulimu kati ne crisis je tulimu. Really, these people deserve to be compensated
better. Because the rain season has just started. We do not know how far it is going to take. So tetumanyi oba bajjemu emaali mu
and maybe it's not about compensation but create solutions that can stop this kind of a disaster to happen again.
So now that
town tegenda kusenguka omwala tegenda kusenguka amazzi we gava tewagenda kugwawo. It's still the rainy season.
But now that Ham has started the construction, so what happens? Does he have maybe to kind of kwanguyiriza construction egwe, and we see somehow that abasobozi abali downtown bawewera oba is that something actually
ekyo kyandibadde kisookerwako yangu y'omulimu ogumalirize oba ekyokubiri abaana agenda mu kooti balina osaba kooti emuyimirize kugenda mu maaso ne construction
bwe muyimiriza flooding
citing the flooding, citing the already seen impacts that we have that are visible everywhere. Nti n'abalamuzi bano yizo sanga ayinayo ne muwala we ne oluganda lwe nga ayinayo business, so kino kitukwatako ffenna.
So we muyimiriza ham now that the construction already blocking omwala
anti bwe mara muyimiriza kooti emuwane orders to do restoration omwala guzeewo nga bwe
wagusanga.
You have solved the problem. Kati kyo tekitaaga ne rocket science oba bakujja ebulayo je. You see that no restore omwala nga bwe gwali nga bwe wagusanga
because you have failed
because you have already failed. Nti plan ne baluwa mukulu Museveni jawandikira prime minister nga mukkiriza yali clear egamba ayina obukugu obunazimba guno omwala akole development ezeetagisa
is benefiting abana Uganda
nti abantu bonna bajja sigala nga beeyagala nga teri akoseddwa emirimu gya ham balwa bwe yali egamba naye kati myezi tuli mu emeka we have already seen losses and the flooding in Kampala.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, we have even lost people, about 3 of them.
Street kids. They were swept away by the floods.
Kati ebintu ebyo eyamuwa olukusa yenna ayina okuddayo abyeke nenya
agambe nti yalonda mukyama.
Nedda kikome.
Well, we are talking elections, campaigns, conflicts across Africa. Tutandikira ne waffe nanti omulirano gwokya 2 bwanga ekiri ya Nigeria kiyinza okwokya ne kikwata Kenya ne kikwata ne Uganda, so tutandikira wane waka before we cross to our neighbors and understand what is happening there and what that communicates to what is happening here in Uganda. Kasoke tunolire campaigns ezigenda maaso. How do you make of the whole situation of this campaign season and in regards to human rights violations or protections of the human rights?
Well, I should say that there has been an improvement. Bichusemu tebiri ngabe byali 2021 at least some point. Naye sigamba nti abantu bafunye dembo kweyagala betaye ngabe bandi badde betaye no. Nti police n'ebitongole ebikuuma dembe at some point bibadde bigezezaako kuwa abantu omwaganya on both sides of the opposition.
Okucampaigninga.
Naye something that is visible is that they are not still balancing the two sides. Baina kyekubira baina side gye batute side eri mbuyinza that one byo mwakiraba nti President Museveni yava ku nomination katandike ku nomination day ngaina abantu egaali ez'enjawulo nakunga mpaka kololo teri yamukwata ku mukono oba abantu
yamulemesa
nti owekitiibwa Honorable Kyagulanyi ava ku nomination naye agenda kurare area ye enatete but over about I think 50 people were arrested now nga bavunana musango ki okubanga bagenda bavudde gye bavudde bagenda ku nti wagenda okulaba mwami Munyagwa Mbaraka Munyagwa Honorable nga naye n'okuyingira ground za nomination as electoral commission it was a struggle nti olabirawo nti from the onset nga toina nagenda mu details. These people have already taken sides and they want to divide. But unlike what happened in 2021 with whatever some of the presidential candidates, including Honorable Kyagulanyi Ngesutie bajiziza ngabantu bwanji bakubirwa and the rest. Even here we have had somebody who was shot on that very day or in a tate. Until these violations don't give people the right to express themselves, to participate in election processes and activities or events.
Yes.
Nti abamu bakiriza okugenda bakole byabwe naye abalala bo bakugira. Nti somebody has a roadmap. Nti akaruru nti lunaku luno ngenda kubeera wano ngenda kubeera wano ngenda kubeera. Because of the limited time nti wisanga omuntu nga ina district nga 2 oba 3 zalina okuba mu campaign. Naye omukkiriza ye n'akozesa amakubo that are very good actually, not good but that are relatively fair and near.
Yes.
Nti omulala ye omukugira n'omugamba ate kati weetooloole ogenda in a certain district but pass in another district and then you come back. By the time you reach your second, third rally ground, nti obudde buba bukuti ate oyagala kubeera wampisa okuumedde. Nti abantu booze ng'olaba nga bakuba bayisa mu ngeri ey'enjawulo. Those are all violations of human rights that we should be actually fighting against in this election period. The violations are not only limited to torture, inhuman treatment and degrading treatment, but they also go to other rights. For example, right to peacefully demonstrate, march, enjoy your rights as
but the police etugamba nti abamu babagaana amakuba agamu olw'ensonga nti you might kutataganya business z'abantu aba bali mu kukola. So nagamba take the other road oleka abantu abali mu kukola business zaabwe okugenda maaso.
Tetuganye. If that's the idea, my point is, if that's the idea, let it be followed on every candidate. Nti omuntu omugana ate omulala omukkirize.
It is because candidate omwaja ne crowd, another candidate doesn't have a crowd.
Any candidate gwalabye nga talina crowd. For example, let us compare the two candidates, President Museveni and Honorable Kyagulanyi. Ani atalina crowds. Lwaki omwo omugamba muyite wano, omulala muyite wano. And they are all going the same period. What has made this very, very interesting is that the two candidates actually following each other in the areas where they are doing their campaigns. Naye, we have seen completely different treatment of the two candidates, including exchanges with the police, fighting with the foot soldiers and the rest, which are actually avoidable, at all costs avoidable if you call people to participate in a democratic system, in an election that you want to look like free and fair, even when it's not. At least give them that small treatment. Don't make them suffer and don't tokalubiriza abantu nti baleke buli omu yeetaaye banoonya akalulu ebinaavaayo byebyo, but don't mistreat them and don't show that you are one-sided.
But what is interesting, Counsel Kato, is that we have had the same pattern of events over the years, same things happening. Why aren't Ugandans acting? Why aren't you acting differently? Kati mwebe tuina musubi the legal fraternity. Ababali mkunonya akalulu. Lwachi temuleta new tactics, because these are the same patterns that happened in 2021, 2016, 2011, and ebintu bizze bigenda bwebityo byegoberera tewabaddeewo nnyo kukyuka. Naye ate you find that n'aba bebabikolako oba those who take part nabo bakola the same things. Should we say they have learned and forgot nothing?
I shouldn't say they have learned and forgot. Some have learned and forgot nothing, but some have not learned completely. But you should look at the environment we operate in. It's too for the legal fraternity. But I will give examples. And I think Katiwet to say in these elections, I think people have mastered the art of overusing their power. They want to show that Nzariko. I'll give examples of the incumbents. For example, the Speaker of Parliament. The process yaitamu kubeera nominated. Nti abamu bagana okunominatingibwa. Abamu you do whatever Manyanga go koze babaje mu register. We run to court to challenge that kind of deletion of any person from
a voter register. Because
the law is clear that you have a right to decide on which place you want to vote in from. The law is clear that you can even contest in any area of this country as long as you are a registered voter there. That's the only requirement that somebody must prove. The Electoral Commission, nze bampandika ngenda kurondera Kampala naye nze ndiwe ntungamu.
Yes.
Bensara okwesimba Kampala mbanzikirizibwa. There is no law that bars me. Naye kati ono bamujje mu register first. Then they follow suit and file a case in court. Nti ensonga lwaki guno omusango baguteeka mu kooti nti bagambe Electoral Commission ekole restoration kyengambye ezeeyo register nga bwe yali noono bamuzeemu mu register. Okitegeera nti naye akirizibwe okugenda mu maaso bamunominating a candidate in that district.
Yes.
There were about 3 people. Nti nomination zaali zigenda kubawo nga 22-23. Nti omusango kuwa ensala yaago ogiteekawo nga 27 nga nomination zagwa dda nga terina kigenda mu maaso, and that's the kind of the judiciary we are dealing in.
But electoral commission taina powers okubeera nga banominating abantu abo singa bavaayo ng'omusango kale bagusinze. Isn't that a way electoral commission should organize that nomination?
At omusango bagusinga, you see the purpose of that case, for example, was to restore everything as it was before. Tugende maaso, why do you want to create a situation that this is a special case? I think the electoral commission already maze kurangira that this one has been declared unopposed. Some of the people that tried to access the nomination grounds were blocked. Excuses of internet, simanye vudeko sote tugenda nominating. Those were the issues that were visibly seen by everybody. So if you have that kind of an application, for example, it seeks for interim orders, it seeks for permanent injunctions and the rest. Those kind of application take precedence over everything. Court the rest of the cases determine this because it has an impact on this electoral system and the schedule. This is a constitutional mandate. You get? We are running a constitutional mandate that guides the time frames on which these activities must be done. Why do you want to extend? So that you create issues of antinga wechakorewa gundi tuchikorenewa gundi nedda.
So the judicial system was manipulated to the
everybody is manipulated, and the manipulation starts from the appointment of these judicial officers. I have to tell you clearly that if you wake up and appoint somebody in an acting capacity, they must obey whatever direction you are taking them in. That's obvious.
Because they
want to be confirmed, so that they can take full charge of that office.
Yes.
But when you look at the history of acting judges, it doesn't apply in this kind of era and form, where we have so many qualified people.
Yes.
They were the people that were holding these positions in the judiciary.
Yes.
And there was a gap. So many and qualified to go through those processes so that they can be judicial officers. That's how the judicial officers, the judges in acting capacity started in this country. But in this era where we have so many qualified people, where you have a lot of time, why do you appoint somebody if they qualify to be a judge? Why do you appoint them in an acting capacity? You see, when you are acting,
kind of test them.
Test them for what? It means you have not followed what the requirements are, because the law is clear on what are the qualifications of a judge. For example, the judge of the High Court, the judge of the Justice of the Constitutional Court, Court of Appeal and Supreme Court. If I don't meet the qualifications, why do you appoint me in an acting capacity? Because somebody acting makes a decision in an acting capacity.
Yes.
And my conclusion would be that even these judges, the judgments they make are judgments in acting capacity. It means that if they don't confirm you as a judge, your acting judgment that is pending your confirmation as a full judge should also be erased, because it has lost sense. Yes. Because if you are acting, somebody in an acting capacity cannot make a decision that binds the rest of the organization or anybody. You get that if you are acting, for example, as a host of this show, that you must have a supervisor supervising you. That before you ask me any question, your supervisor must confirm and say this is the right thing.
Yes.
That is where the problem comes in. That it means that the judgment you will give as an acting judge must be perused, confirmed, and then they give you a go-ahead to continue. That's how it's supposed to be done. Logic, that's logic.
They don't make independent judgments.
That's very true. That's very true. I have given you a live example. You are a host of this show, but you are in an acting capacity. Don't you consult?
You consult.
If they say Echotochibuza, can you go ahead and ask it?
No.
And you see, even when that decision is wrong or right, you have no power to say no to it, because you want to be confirmed.
You want the position.
So that's how the problems in our judiciary have started to go beyond even, some of them are irreparable. They are repairable. You look at the judgment and ask whether this judge really understand what they have been doing or not.
So before we go in for our commercial
and secondly,
break,
maybe that one, on that very issue, you look at these judges that have been appointed of late. The cadre judges, this has been an issue. That because there is a contribution you have been making either on social media, on TVs, or supporting the system, then you have to be awarded something, and then they say you'll be an acting judge for this period.
Oh.
And would you give a decision against your appointing authority?
You cannot.
No.
Yeah.
Answer is no. That's where the problem is.
So does that mean that these people who won the case now, they just remain there? The Electoral Commission doesn't in any way help them?
Nti ono omuntu bamujje mu register onanadukira mu kooti omusango ne bagugoba. It means that they have restored you in the register, but have you seen that kind of a pronouncement in that judgment? No. There is none. So how do you enforce that? Anti kati oboyi nokuddayo mu kooti ogisabe orders to enforce the restoration of this of the register as it was before.
So why were they celebrating? Did they understand the judgment? Anyways,
but you see, you look at some judgment and you don't know whether you are the winner or the loser. You are in between.
It's hanging.
It is hanging, and you see somebody celebrating and ask, but what have you benefited from this judgment? They can also not tell it to you.
Because we were kind of like, yes, at least the judicial system has done something. But then, according to how you have explained,
because if you say that this case fails on the old set, then it means it has restored the rest. But there must be an order to that effect.
Yes.
And say, this case required these declarations and the orders. So you grant the orders. And if it fails, it has failed with these prayers and declarations and orders. Complete nothing. Then we go back to how it was before the case.
That is real bad. It is bad news anyways to us who want to see that kind of stiff competition in all the positions. Nayenga, we cannot do anything about them. We are going in for a short break. What is happening in Sudan, what is happening in Tanzania, there is a lot happening in Nigeria. So we shall be weighing on all the situations that are happening in Africa, and then, you know, kind of contrast them with what is happening in Uganda and what lessons Uganda can pick from those kind of situations. A very good morning. We'll be right back.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes it can, although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be normal.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital.
Go to the church, though.
Tawali man, what's up?
Man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, did you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Ochale Kumaiti Drive, and this is our second hour of the show. In this show, we'll be going through the comment section to kuberanga mpita itamu mu bibuzo byammwe your suggestion opinions nga show wegenda maaso wetuwumulidemu tubadde twogera ku judicial system and how it is operating nga tugamba naye erinamu ebirumira. But anyways, we want to look at the possibility of having reforms both in the electoral and the justice system. Is it possible? If it is possible, how can we get there?
I think it's possible, but there is a deliberate move not to make them actually work. Presidential election petition the Supreme Court gives orders and directives on what should be amended. Mwezo gundi zona zizenga zivao, including the recent one of 2016. Yes. Nothing has ever been done today.
Ani avunanyizibwa
atone jeno na ine koti zenyine tezivuddeyo kumukangabula zigambe nti sebo twakulagira bino bye bino kolebwa before nga zinagenda mukalulu akalala, so that we can create this kind of a flow. A free and fair election as guaranteed by the constitution. Yes. But it shouldn't be in words actually, because an election is a process. It's not a one-day event. No, it's a process.
Exactly.
Starting from the time you start to display registers, you call people to change or cross-check their details, then to nomination, then to campaigns, and to the election. So it means if you fraud one of those processes, then you have frauded the whole election.
The entire process.
Akaruako tekali free and fair.
From the onset.
Just a free and fair election. And then saying that it is organized by the Independent Electoral Commission of Uganda, that's all. But the rest of the details that must have been amended and changed are not actually done. And it is intentional. It is very intentional. Never to gain up mass on because most of them are just looking at how do I finish my term, I retire and go home. The rest of the things doesn't make sense. Okay? It's to gain. For example, you have seen the battles between Uganda Society and its members.
Yes.
Omadukira mukota sa injunction ni bajumua. Koti eragira kino bano baragira kino. Among the issues that we are fighting for is have the representative of Uganda Law Society on the Judicial Service Commission that should be aiding the appointment of the judges. Yeah. We have two throats at the Judicial Service Commission as Uganda Law Society. Okay. That means in the absence of the two representatives of Uganda Law Society, the Judicial Service Commission is not complete. Okay? That means that whoever judge, whoever magistrate, whoever registrar, whatever promotion has been done without the full composition of the Judicial Service Commission, we are on our then we are dealing with the legalities. You get?
Yeah, true.
But it is intentional. Who doesn't know that actually to have a Judicial Service Commission for the Constitution saves the whole judiciary, saves the whole society, and then we
the
are
whole
acting
country,
in a legal
yes.
manner. Is that something that people must explain the full day to the rest of the public who doesn't understand that? But it is intentional. It is intentional, and that's why we are
Kati legal matters when Uganda bazilekera the legal fraternity. It is your battle to fight.
But that's because a problem we have. That's a problem we have. That whatever legal battles we are fighting, we cannot fight them alone as the lawyers. No, we need the support of the public and the people. Because the decisions made by the courts actually don't affect us as the lawyers only, but they affect you. Most of the lawyers are not litigants. Ntifa abasinga mwa batuwe emisango gye twala mu court si misango gyaffe. Ntinze ngenda kugamba instructions zange ozimpadde ye tugende mu court tulepuke. Ntebina abavuddeyo bwe ba criminal matter nga kusinze ngenda kugamba why okujjako nga tukoze appeal naye girobere ruzira. You get that the most affected people are the litigants. You the rest of the members of the public. Ntigo ondetere omusango gw'ettaka ne tugenda mu court bwe kusinga ngambo birabye bivudde mu court ye ensalawo ya court. But bwe gusinga that's the same. Yes. It means me I am only doing a role and I am just doing my profession as a lawyer. But the biggest people that are affected by the decisions of the courts at all levels are you the litigants.
So kakati
woba mukomera ne tujja omulamuzi olw'okuba akusibye yegundi naye ayina ekintu kye yakola mu kumuwa obulamuzi obwo nakuma beiru tukwaddeyo ruzira nze nzira waka okitegeera that bumba temuvuddeeyo mwenga abanansi ne mutukwatisizaako tusobole okulwana zino entalo mu abasinga okufiirwa
ne bannansi b'ogamba. Yes, I really want to agree it is their responsibility, but they do not even understand these nitty-gritties of, yes, kakati reforms ziganye, na ye aniavunanyizibwa, ye atone kakati, tebamanyi bintu bino, kakati obuvunanyizibwa bwani okubeera nga we educate the public.
Civic education buvunanyizibwa bwa government obusokerwako.
That they have failed at that.
That they have all the powers, actually the constitution commands them to translate the constitution in all languages and to spread the information in the constitution. To omuntu agimanye amanye nti atone general akawairo 1019 ka constitution kamuwa obuyinza okubanga legal representative w'eggwanga. Tikwe oyagala suwinga Uganda nga government oba ikoze eki oba abahamu abamatage bakoze naye nga balaba government obuzibu, human rights violation and so many other cases against you sue the attorney general. But bwokwate no constitution no giyigiriza abantu kitegeeza bajja kubanga bakutwala mu kooti buli kanako. So that's what I'm doing about that. It is very intentional that they keep you ignorant about some of these laws. Ntinafa abanamateeka abasinga, most of us actually specialize nogamba hanze ngenda kukola emisango nga gino gyokka ejigwa muline tulu
bagine
awo ne bakusomera n'etteeka nogamba eriyo nga mbadde sirimanyi naye oli munamateeka.
Because that is not where your interest
is. Not where my interest is. But a basic document, a basic law, a ground norm of this country, a constitution must be disseminated. Its information must be disseminated to everybody in this country. In fact, when they can syllabus katugambe nke ya senior 2 senior 3 ntogenda veyo ngomanyi of at least of wide of singa constitution. Na bichi constitution byekulagira. Ntomanya omusirikale bwaba agenda kukwata bichi byandibadde akola, for example under article 23 ntaino kujja agambe nze gundi ne gundi nva ku police ya Kampala CPS.
Yes.
ekindese wano bakusubiriza or you are suspected to have committed offense A, B, C, D. Bwaba yagala kunzija mweno mu nyumba yange oba mu motoka yange I have a certificate to search. Nti bwaba takoze ebyo byonna ntulina omubuuza naye ogoberedde amateeka ng'ozikunkwata nedda nti kati awo mugambe sookoddeyo otereeze article 23 byekusaba okubanga olina okubanga okoze olyoka okomewo onkwate kitegeera
awo ne bw'obanga okimanyi tekikolekanga ne yaffe
nti bw'oba okitegedde ekyo kati kitegeeza tebagenda kukwata bya kisiru simanyi aida disorder simanyi biki kuba basinga abapoliisi n'abakwasa b'amateeka tebalina kye bagoberera
nanti oba okyayogera where is the arrest warrant nga bakusudde eddaka bangali
in the end when you violate any of the rights, torture, inhuman and degrading treatment, and lawful detention beyond 48 hours, that if somebody raises that concern and applies for a violation of human rights in the Human Rights and Enforcement Act, the whole process of the trial is nullified. We are back to zero. And even when you committed the offense, you are presumed to be innocent. But once you prove that one of your rights, it doesn't matter what right was violated, no. Whether they didn't allow you to talk to your family or legal representation, that's a violation of human rights. That they didn't follow all those arresting procedures before they arrested, that's a violation of human rights. Once you bring that application to court, they will nullify the whole trial. Now who suffers? The victim. Jukira bakusuubiza oba kiteeberezebwa nti wassa omuntu. Omuntu gwe wasse mu muganda wange. Naye olw'okuba abapoliisi baffe tebalina mpisa ezo era tebagoberera mateeka nga bazikukwata bajja kukwata bakusibe ennaku 4 oba 5. They have violated your right to pre-trial detention and illegal detention, detention beyond the 48 hours. What you need in court before you proceed with the evidence and what it is to make that application obagambe nti ekitiibwa omulamuzi olina lwoyo oba tomulina kuba eyo act ya human rights enforcement ekukkiriza n'okugikola orally in any language you understand.
Neweeyogerera
ndi mu kooti yo naye eddembe lyange lyatooberebwa litya bankwata bubi bantulugunya enkovu zino ziraba bansiba kuva nga 19 mpaka nga 3. ekitiibwa omulamuzi ezo ensonga zitunulemu nti eteeka eryo liwa kooti yonna obuyinza ne ligamba sooka oyimirize okuwozesa ono omuntu olyoka okole investigation mu ezo violations. Bw'osanga nti eddembe lye baalityoboola sazaamu trial omuntu mutagende waka
regardless of the case gubadde gumuvunaanibwa
as long as you prove a violation of any right in the constitution. It's a nullity. It's intentional that the government will not invest in this civic education otegeera ekyo nti bwoba okitegedde ng'ojja kubeera wampisa bakukwata engeri gye bakwagalamu and violate your rights and then you go to court and then ate nti eryeteeka liddamu ne likuwa obuyinza nti bw'oba otegedde nti omusirikale yankuba oliye omusirikale yansiba kumala ebbanga nga lisukkamu 48 ye kato nti nange onsuuyinga for violation of your rights. Ate ne bansanga liable personally nti bwe bagamba
you don't sue an institution, you can sue for an individual.
Yes, olusuuga government naye nange nongattako nga kato because government yeyina obuyinza kunze ku mirimu gyenkola nti naye nange kati ongattako nti kooti bwe beesanze nga batyoboola eddembe lyange n'enfayininga oba negamba compensating $1,010,000 in most of the cases bajja kugamba all parties will divide 50-50. The government esasuleko $5,000,000 ku bukadde 10 ne kata asasuleko $1,000,000. Nti naye why I am all bringing this to the viewers is that it is intentional, kyabugenderevu bakigenderera nti muleme kutegeera ebintu nga bino mu mateeka. Olw'okuba omusirikale bw'abakubye oli enkya ojja muddusa mu kooti era tebagenda kukozesa mu criminal trial olw'okuba eddembe lyo lyakola ki
lyatyoboolebwa.
Okitegeera nti kati buli kimu kye bakola kutukuumira mu kizikiza nti abantu mwenna mulina okuvaayo mutukwasizeeko tubayambe ku bintu bino tulabe engeri gye bitambula mutegeere amateeka ki gye gaagala n'engeri ki gye gatwalyamu.
Wow, thank you so much. Ndowooza ensonga yetegerekese bulungi nnyo njagala tunuulireko the civil society of Uganda that we have in the past years. Kale twalina society yali kind of strong, they would really come out with one voice, and you see that something is being done. Kati oluyimba lwetuyimba is the shrinking civic space of the civil society. Shrinking civic space of the civil society. Now one wonders, can civil society do something about what is happening in Uganda? Or they have just decided to go and read the book of Lamentations?
They can do something, but you see, you look at the environment that they operate in as civil society organization. Over time, that now the liability has shifted from an organization, because most of these NGOs are registered. Okay?
Yeah.
In their capacity, they can sue or be sued. But now, bwebasuwinga, for example, alternative digital one. Kati Farida oyinza bango oliawo ng'olya butaala. Nti naye ani abadde akola mu alternative digital kwebasuubiza okubanga awabudde nnyo government, because usually it all starts from there. How do you criticize the government? Yes. Kati bagenda vaayo bave ku digital naye bakwate omuntu,
they will come for you as an individual.
So the environment does not provide a smooth running process or space. Nti gosobola vaayo owendowoozayo you criticize something that is happening openly ate osigale ng'olya butaala, because a right opinion is actually constitutionally guaranteed. Freedom of speech. But look at all these organizations that have tried to tackle issues that affect the common man. Issues of democracy, rule of law, good governance, human rights violations, they are the most affected civil society organizations. They have faced the condition and the worst effect of being closed. Ntijukira buli mwaka gendayo renewing a certificate yo NGO
bureau, yes.
Naye guno omwaka okoze eki? Ani gwonyiziza oyo gogenda okugasimbagana naye agambe why you faulted ABCD and therefore your certificate is hereby revoked. Bayinza n'obutakulinda omwaka ogende ku renewing neno gyolina gy'otimbye mu office yo bajje bagirevoking bagambe tugoberedde government biki byekwagalamu. Nti bw'oba oleeseewo embeera bwetyo nti buli omu ayagala sigaza ng'alina
ng'alina ekituufu ng'alina waakera n'agenda
because an employment is beyond nti olina kubaako wookoma ogambe nandiyagadde mbeeko kyengattako mu demokrasiya y'eno eggwanga mpe endowooza yange naye biki ebinaddirira nti when you realize that you say please sinze munnayuganda azika. That's where the problem has been. But civil society have played some good role to some extent. Nti kati abasinga basigaza kimu to issue statement
ne bakomaawo. So kati awo civil society weeri tetugisuubira mu kyamaanyi
teri kyamaanyi kyegenda kukola. But you see, even they don't have the capacity to enforce whatever they want to. Their role is just to make an opinion, make a report, make a research proposal and a research paper, present it, come up with reports and findings, and that's where you stop. Because most of these findings and the research must be guiding for example, the legislators and the lawmakers.
Yes, true.
But look at our parliament that we have. Now who would be capable and who will have the balls to actually call for such kind of actions to be done? That the parliament will sit and say, from the violation we have seen, from
the reports and the recommendations,
they point to a person A, for example, a CDF of the country, as the biggest violator of the rights that it has been proven. We summon him before a committee of parliament to come and explain these allegations. Do you know the reply that will come in? You cronies cannot call me. You what? And then the rest, I will arrest everybody, and they are all quiet. Okay, that even where the civil society organizations have played some part, by now we bakoma. So the institutions that they cannot tezikwatibwako teziwabulwa tezivunaanibwa. Nti awo jakomawo mugambe why kasita ffe twakola report yaffe and the reports are very good with the recommendation and the rest, but the enforcement of those reports and the application is just where we are stagnant.
So if Ugandans are real serious nga baagala enkyukakyuka balina kukola ki? Because civil society tuvudde teri ssuubi kati munnayuganda asigazizza obuvunaanyizibwa nga ye
kati civil society zituyambye, banamateeka batuyambye, abantu ab'enjawulo batuyambye bannamawulire mutuyambye tulabye ebiki ebigenda mu maaso mu ggwanga kati ekisigadde kyaffe ng'abantu kwesitukiramu naffe twegatte ku balala. We demand for some change in this everything. We demand for change in how elections are conducted. We demand in change in how civilians are treated and mistreated by this government. We demand changes in corruption scandals. We call to book all these people that have been named in these corruption scandals. We participate in everything that we can do as long as we think and feel that this is where we need to be as a country. Because Kato alone will come and make noise, they will arrest him, and that's the end of the story.
Keep quiet.
When I come out of prison, I will not fight for the same right. Exactly. Because the people I'm fighting for have not joined me and supported me so that we can be on the same cause. The much the voices, the better. This government listens when people come
when
out.
Ngabantu banji.
Yeah.
Some governments don't listen even if you come out in 1,000 numbers. Now we cross to Tanzania.
It's a matter of time.
Chama
It's really a matter
Mapinduzi.
of time.
Samia Suluhu. You have followed what has been happening in Tanzania.
I have been following.
A lot of people have
been following.
The protests.
But
the killings.
But what has surprised and shocked me is that people think that these violations of human rights at that level in Tanzania have started today, during these elections. No. These violations have been there, even in the tenure of the late John Pombe Magufuli. Violations were too many. Extrajudicial killings, abductions. But the advantage Tanzania has had, which is a disadvantage to the rest of us, is that they have suppressed their media. They control what information flows to the rest of the public.
Yes.
They control that. That's how they have managed. Reports have come up to say that in the 3 years Samia Suluhu has been the president,
yes,
we have had over 200 plus people that have disappeared and they cannot be traced. In 3 years, only 3 years. It is just news now that masses have just come up to say no, enough is enough. And this is what we demand for.
So the suppression of the media in Tanzania has made the public outside Tanzania to think Tanzanians are humble enough not to go on the streets to protest.
Yes, 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 yes. And even by this time, if we do not have an opportunity of having these videos and photos bump onto internet, then nobody would have known that actually there are demonstrations at a massive scale that are happening in Tanzania. But now it's beyond, because people have now realized that if we come in numbers, the rest of the public, the rest of the international communities will follow on what is happening. But it was visibly clear that the demands Chadema was making in the election processes, we are very visibly seen. That if the Electoral Commission, with the number of people that you see on the streets, people that say this was not an election but a selection, people that say that whatever has been announced is actually the opposite, are coming on the floor, and then your constitution and the other election process laws suggest that you cannot go to court to challenge this kind of a result, even when it's visibly seen that it was not free and fair, transparent election. Somebody who is coming to say, if you don't make reforms in this election process, then we shall not participate in election. You just arrest and have him in remand since April, just because of making that demand. But you continue to participate in an election and get 98%.
98%. But when Samia Suluhu were laying a Jamo Buyinza after the death of Magufuli, she promised reforms. And would someone say, has she delivered towards her promises she made in 2021?
If I have seen I don't even know how to explain this, but or even how to term her. But you see, most of us actually thought that the coming into power of a female president would actually portray the motherhood of these females. The motherhood.
Thank you.
That
is the expectation.
That was the expectation that everybody of us, most of us had. And we believe that actually there would be a great and visibly seen change in Tanzania on how it runs everything, in all the processes, including the suppression I've talked about, the violations and the rest. But she has now turned to do the opposite, and now it has made many people to fear having the next female who acts in such a shameless manner, who is not democratic at all, who doesn't value the rest of the people as a mother of the country, who doesn't care on what happens. Even when people are being killed today, she goes ahead and then she wants to be sworn in as a president. You can imagine that kind of shamelessness in Samia Suluhu.
As a woman, as a mother.
As a woman, as a mother, first of all. That one was
because
a shocker
mothers are,
of everybody.
we are expected to be natural.
On how people that come from the East African community are mistreated and tortured and done all sorts of things under the leadership of a female who is a mother, who has children. That pain is enough for people to say no, enough is enough. And me, I'm happy that people are actually continuing with the demonstration against the leadership, the dictatorial leadership of Samia Suluhu, the inhuman treatment that Samia Suluhu is putting on the people of Tanzania, and how she's actually mistreating and portraying a very bad image of female leaders in this country. But
as protests are going on, other people are calling on the international community to kind of intervene. But again, the question is, the same international community is supporting chaos somewhere in another country. Olowooza tukyetaaga okubanga twesigama nnyo ku international community okujja okuyambako ku bizibu bye tuba tulina in our countries as Africa.
But international communities, for example, or even national communities at a level, for example, East African community. Now who is the chairperson of the East African community? Uhuru.
Yes.
No. The president of Kenya.
Ruto.
He's the head. But you have seen recently in the Gen Z protest how many people are killed. But he's a person who is supposed now to call for peace, to call for settlement of issues in Tanzania. The same issues. Now what do you expect from Ruto as the head of the East African community to start with? 2, what is happening in other international communities? Call it SADC, East African and Horn of what call about them, AU, EU, and the rest. What should they do? What is happening in their own countries? What is happening in their own different states? The same challenges, because most of these people have now mastered the art of mpagira na yenda kuwagira vitu kewana.
It's a give and take.
Whatever transpired in the elections in Kenya, Tanzania supported, Uganda supported, and Ruto was declared the win. He took the win. Okay, he was sworn in as a president. Amid the demonstrations that were visibly seen, that people are unhappy with how these elections
were conducted.
Now, we have finished Tanzania voting. The next is Uganda, 2026. Now, what do you expect from President Museveni, who has also seen that anything of the same kind must can also happen? Can they come to call upon this person? 2025, Tanzania has voted. 26 is Uganda. 27 is Kenya. So do you expect, for example, William Ruto, the president of Kenya, to come and condemn what is happening or how the election process was handled in Tanzania? Do you expect the same from the president of Uganda? That's a challenge that we have as a bigger, as communities and as international people. That if you come out now, it will happen to you tomorrow. And the rest of the people will say, okay, but you are. And
Samia would say, you came out and condemned.
So
why would I support you?
So that's where the problem is, that they are looking for a shoulder to lean on both sides.
Then now one wonders the relevance of the East African community.
You get, that's the irony we are all seeing. And it's a very big joke that countries donate money and support the running of the East African community as a business. But what has it helped us?
What is it doing?
That you cannot be allowed to freely move to Tanzania because you are an activist in Uganda or Kenya, because you are a human rights lawyer in Uganda or Kenya, and what happens to you is either a deportation or unlawful detention and torture and all the rest that happens. And nobody is talking about that. Nobody is condemning that kind of an action. But we are the members of the South African community, that we have a right to free movement, trade, and all the rest. That somebody from Kenya comes to Uganda and applies for a practicing certificate as a lawyer, for example, Martha Karua, senior counsel, and the Ugandan Law Counsel says no. There's nothing you are adding in the case that you have come to represent. But we are the members of the East African community, one community, where we have to freely trade. Exactly. But why do we limit my trade to goods and merchandise? No, even the profession must be traded. Ntunaye abandi badde bavaayo kwogera ku zino ensonga. Tebayina maanyi oba tebayina kibakakatako okuzoogerako. Because next time it will be their turn. And the rest of the people will divert you and you... The reason why Tubalaba Basirise, well, now they are all quiet. They are all quiet because they know what happened in Tanzania has happened might actually happen in and Uganda it will happen in 2026. Yeah, it will happen. So why don't you keep quiet and ignore issues, and so that when it's your turn, they also keep quiet? That's a bigger problem we have. But we want to contrast what is happening in Tanzania as of now to the recent past. Nga bakulembeze basajja and the Tanzania of the past and the Tanzania of now. Are there any changes that are for the worst or for the best? Well, Tanzania has had dictators. But like I told you, now most people have started to realize that issues are happening in a different state in Tanzania because people have come out now to portray the image of the real Tanzania. Okay? Silently, people have been going through these kind of challenges, this kind of dictatorship. It has happened, including somebody that they almost said he was the most popular leader in Tanzania, the late Pombe Magufuli. Yes. But people were kidnapped, people were tortured, people lost lives, rights were violated, and the rest. But to say, my biggest disappointment is that all these atrocities, all these violations are done by a mother. Somebody that must be guiding, somebody that must encourage actually the rest of the females. And I have not seen feminists now come to condemn her actions. I have not seen many of them come to condemn these actions done by a female, done by a mother and the president. Because now, what else? Should we trust any other female to lead in any of the countries? If Samia can do this action. So when men do those things, why are we seeing more men leaders coming up? When men do them, we come to condemn them. The female. The same way you should condemn the feminists are the first people to say, you look at how men are mistreating. But I've seen feminists coming out to condemn everything that is happening in Tanzania. They must condemn it with whatever value, whatever power they have, so that the people can understand that this is not an issue that should be looked at as to be done by men alone. No. Even females are dictators, even females are violators. The way you condemn this side, condemn the other one. So that we all want a society that is very free, where rights are protected, upheld, and then promoted everywhere. Okay, looking at the situation as it is in Tanzania as a human rights lawyer, what would be your recommendations? Well, listen to the voices of the people. If they have said it's enough is enough, what do you lose to leave power? Is it something to die for? But the problem is power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I imagine if there is nothing and you are looking at serving the nation as a president, and you are not looking for your selfish interests and titles, why wouldn't you listen to the masses? Why would we have a demonstration saying that do reforms in the election processes and the laws so that we can go into an election, allow other opponents to also participate? We know you will reach the election, but allow them. Yes. Give them space. Amend the law. Create an environment that looks like that there is free and fair competition. To be allowing competition and be democratic, like you always proclaim, and you want state and be referred to. Okay? If it is not about selfish interest and serving yourself and your relatives and a small group that you are eating with, why wouldn't you listen to masses? Why should we have over 200, 400 people die? Because they are saying what happened in Tanzania was not an election, but a selection. People boycotting the election, and the turn-up was as low as you can imagine. Why don't you listen to that voice? If you are really, really important and you proclaim to be serving the interests of the people, not your selfish interests. Resign, give them power, make amendments in the laws, allow healthy competition with the rest of the people that you have been arresting for nothing. Some of the leaders in Chadema are still in communicable detention. Some even not allowed to access food, and the rest. That kind of mistreatment should be avoidable. Amend the laws, listen to what the voices are saying. The voices of the people is the voice of God. Listen to what God is communicating through the people that are on streets and demanding for change in Tanzania. Listen to them. That's the best gift you can give to East African members in Tanzania.
This Samia Suluhu, does she understand that the voice of the people is the voice of the Creator?
It doesn't call for you to understand.
Could it be the supremacy of the Chama cha Mapinduzi party that feels like we hold the power and we shouldn't let the powers lead to the Chadema party, and then they are causing Samia Suluhu to behave a certain way, to kind of, you know,
but we have seen so many people even in Chama cha Mapinduzi come to say no, at least there should be some change. You see, we know that most of the incumbents, it's hard for them to lose an election. Okay? Because the election commission that conducts, because the Babylon institution is in Mikono, they are the ones who appoint them. Yes. But you see, even where the people have acted in a ruthless manner against their opponents in the opposition, but they have created that kind of environment to show some sense of, you know, we have allowed you to contest, we have allowed you to move, like everybody is always saying in Uganda, that you see a president can move all over Uganda and nothing happens to them, and they are campaigning, they have all these people attending their rallies, but we know what is happening in the truth. So at least create a situation that will not make you look so bad and terrible than the rest of the East African leaders that are not democratic, I should say. And give them a chance to participate. Whatever they get, whatever results will be announced, give them an opportunity to go and challenge them in court based on evidence, and don't be that kind of a dictator that you have become some years ago.
So that's what is happening in Tanzania. Raise an alarm to us in Uganda. Do we have anything to fear? Like, okay,
it does.
What exactly do we have to
and you see, what people are undermining is that this now is what is commonly known as the Gen Z. The Gen Z agenda, now the Gen Z era. But it started in Kenya, demands were made, and demands were actually heard and listened to some extent. Yeah. So now the young people have also taken now things in their own understanding, and now to say that we are the most affected people. Yeah. We are the most affected people. Kubanga batkaja wakadiye bano tebachina chebachina ebizibu bye bali bayina mu 1880s. Byagwawo mbute bali tebafuna tuloka tufuna naye katugenda tufuna ngekitukulemeso kimanyi njala tewalide. Obanga Land Road akubanja kati tosobola kwebaka
oyingira mukaga nga yebasi.
Ndine oyagala kwebaka encho inakusasula fees. Amazi gawe gagenda kuyingirira okuba amazimbi omwala byebizibu bye tulina kati nti tulina mirimu byosomye naye tulina nawo bikolera tebatuwa mukisa nti sobola okuwendowooza zaffe ziwulirwe nibovaayo kwogera ku kintu naye wajagamba kati you are misusing computers, yes. And because you are calling up some leaders. Those are the problems that we have. Leadership crises that we have in the country, infrastructure that are not developed, poor health conditions. Those are the problems that now we are facing. It was a problem of the past. We have now realized, and what these old people should understand, for example, the ones that are reading us here in this dictatorship of Uganda, that the problems they were facing in the 80s are now are not the same problem that we are facing now.
Exactly.
But the problem have accumulated and they are beyond now your control, and this is our time for us as young people, as a young generation, because we are the most affected people, and we must take charge of how we need this country to run. So now, from Kenya to Tanzania, now the Gen Zs are saying, no, we can't accept this kind of nonsense in your elections and selections. No. It's now our turn to call for demands on how do we need to be governed. Yes, we can accept and allow you to be here for the next one term, but this is how we want the process that you go through to be the president.
Yes, you win, but these are our demands.
So whatever happened in Kenya impacted what is happening in Tanzania, and most definitely it affects what will happen.
But can Ugandans contain a protest for such a longer time?
It's a question for another day, but it has an impact. Because if now you want to do the same thing that has been done in Tanzania, then what do you expect? The results will be the same.
Yeah.
That people will come out to call out on you and say this
and
is how we want to be run.
Will be the order of the day.
As they have always been. 2021, we lost how many lives?
Yeah,
nobody has been held to account. Even when it was...
Even those that went to court, we do not know where those cases end. They just die a natural death.
Yes, that's how bad we are and terrible we are just being run in this country. But
sometimes you lawyers make us think that along the way you get bought off, you lose interest. What happens?
You see, it's not about that. I don't know what criteria is done, but me, I link this to the incompetence that we have in the judiciary. Starting from the head, the Chief Justice is just there, enjoying the luxury of that office and acting in a ruthless manner, and we cannot actually forgive him for this kind of treatment he has run this judiciary as a head. That the case is filed 11 years down the road, we don't have a decision. That somebody has been on remand for 28 years, and you are still the head of the judiciary, and you want to be referred as the Chief Justice of this country. That's incompetence of the highest level. That shows you are either ruthless, or you are inhuman, or you don't care about what happens to the rest of the people. Imagine that's your father, 28 years, and you want to be looking at somebody that he's the head of the judiciary and has control over this judiciary. And there is a judge who is always remanding this person for 28 years, and you want us to refer to you as your lordship? No, that one should stop. So some of the things are just deliberate. That the problems we are facing go beyond what we look at. And I wonder whether these people, for example, the Chief Justice of this country, goes home and sleeps, and the children are saying, welcome back, Daddy, you have done a great job, you have contributed to the development of this country, that you are a judge. Dr. Besige has appeared before you, narrated to you the story of the violation he has gone through, that he even meets the constitutional mandate of a mandatory bail, and you go ahead and say, I don't know that you ever appeared in the general court martial, and you go home and you are welcomed by your daughters and kids, and then they say, welcome back, Daddy, and you carry bread. And you say you can have this for breakfast. Sure. And you go to your bed and have sleep. That's being ruthless. That's either incompetence or bias. Or both combined. Because now if we are looking at somebody who does not have any kind of sense of how humanity should be treated, of how you should treat your neighbor, of how you should treat your other human being, because you don't want to be in the same shoes. How can you be in that kind of control and then you are okay? I maybe find that you have a mental problem, or you are just there, you are a wasted fella, and we accept that.
Well, those are words of counsel. I do not want to associate with them, and whatever happens after his statements, I do not know. So, but I want us to kind of look at the situation and analyze, can we have a democratic process or competition where people compete fairly and then the winner is announced, and that we do not have here the voices of Wanutechako Zebulungi here in Africa? Can that happen?
It can happen, but it's done by the willing.
Because even where a 92-year-old candidate who didn't even know whether he was the president or he won, people came onto the streets. And yes, the riots were there, but yes, the 92-year-old guy, Paul Biya, was announced winner. And yes, the riots ended. And Cameroon, yes, is going forward.
I looked at the person who was announcing him, and he's 93 years. The head of the court, I think he's 92. So you look at that kind of confusion that they are in. But you see, you can defeat everything. You can pray us here and there, but there is something you will never defeat.
What is that?
The call of nature will always come to you.
But by the time that call of nature comes in, the people have suffered.
The people have suffered.
The people will have suffered enough.
But you see, me, what I believe in is time. Time. And I know at some point, most of these people will be called to the books of law and answer some of these kind of illegalities, some of these kind of violations that they have participated in, directly or indirectly. But you see, as the believers, we normally leave it to God. We don't want to be too judgmental, even when we tell you what you have done wrong. Leave it to God, and God will punish you in any way. In any way. But whatever is and whatever we intend to change, it's done by the willingness of the people. If the leaders are not willing to change, now then that means we shall not have change. If the person with the power, the command to make all these calls, to make all these orders, is not willing to make them, then who else shall we run to? That's the problem, that the people are not willing, the people with the power are not actually willing to do what is right. They are doing what favors them, and they are doing what they are interested in. That's
well, ngatomaliriza njagala okubanga otuwa your legal perspective on what is happening in Sudan, and looking at the whole situation and the people that are being killed, others being displaced. What is really the problem? What is causing all this? There is a civil war that has been taking place in Sudan, but now it is escalating.
And the escalations are not about to stop. You see, some of these issues are avoidable. But for you to avoid them, you must be willing and interested in avoiding some of them. You look at the repercussions that will come out. What do you gain if you kill Kato? This is what I've always told people. That some of the things, yes, you might want to fight for them. Fight against your opponent or neighbor or friend or enemy or whatever. But you will never become what they are. Yeah. And if we master that art, we shall live in a society that is very peaceful. If you master that, if you don't like Kato, if you want to mistreat Kato, if you want to kill Kato, you will never become what Kato is. You will never. Even when you got near, but you will never. If we learn that one, then there is no reason why somebody should be killing the other. There is no reason why somebody should be mistreating the other. But like I said, even when we have most of these institutions, including the International Court of Justice and so many others, they have not done much.
Some of them
I am sure at some point, I am sure at some point,
civil war.
I am sure at some point we shall have a sober institutions that will call everybody to order, and they will account for the atrocities that they have committed to humanity.
But what exactly is causing that civil war in Sudan?
It's a matter of power. Power struggles, basically. I should relate it to power struggles, nothing beyond that. Like most of these extrajudicial killings are related to the struggle for power. Who now takes the lead of a certain country and the rest? And maybe to run. If you want to understand that very well, look at the East African community.
So if you are a leader of such a falling state and people are being killed, why aren't you going into negotiations with the rebel groups?
That's what I told you from the word go. If you are really interested in serving the people, because the people must be served according to their wishes and aspirations, and they are calling about something that must change, that you visibly see. If you really, really have love for the people, why don't you listen at some point? Why do you have to insist and say, never move and never move chingenda bafu? You get it. Only takes us to think and believe that you're actually working on your selfish interest, and therefore you don't represent the interests of the people that you intend or that you proclaim to be leading. That's where the problem is. That's where I see it. That for you in East Africa, we have how many leaders of opposition incarcerated because of their voices and calling you and calling upon you to change in a certain manner, be democratic, follow the rule of law, promote, protect, and uphold human rights, and that's their problem. Or amend this law so that it favors the election reforms. And now they are incarcerated. A lot of basically. So many. South Sudan, Tanzania, Uganda, and the these are the problems. Even that of
Ivory Coast, the
power struggles are the biggest problems, and people want to make some offices as their personal offices, which is not true. They are not your personal offices. You are not the first person in that office. You are not the last, and you are not about to be the last. So we must accept that things change and accept this kind of the voices that people are talking about. Some of these things you don't need to be explained to a lot. So you say you have led us in a bad way, and we feel we should have a new leader. Accept go home and do other businesses, or you go back to work and do some other job.
that acceptance is coming in so easily, and leaders don't do such things.
Yes, it's coming in easily, but if you really practice what you preach, that I represent the voices of the people, that I want to represent the views of my people, and I am working for the people, not for myself, why don't you listen to that kind of a call? Why? Unless you're just
because I still have your interest at heart, and they really want.
Yes, you have your interest at heart to represent us, but we are saying enough is enough. We are tired of you. You go, leave us. We have a new leader.
Well, that reminds me of the woman MP of Kamuli, Honorable Kadaga, said that Nina byenjagala bakolera bye sinnakola
byotakoze
mu myaka 3
ogenda bikola
plus, so njagala mumpe ekisanya kino mbituukirize. It is for your own good. It is not for me. Well, thank you so much, Counsel Kato, for joining me. Era webale kubanga ate ensonga zino zitanya bulungi nnyo, nsuubira abatambudde naffe ensonga bazitegedde bulungi nnyo. But before we go, njagala olekere message for Ugandans is that now we are going into an election that we do not know what might happen, what the results might be. So they may need a message of hope. Okubeera nga batambula.
My message is very clear. Nti buli omu agenda akole kyasobola okukola in their capacity, because we don't have the same capacities. Nakyo tulina okukikkiriza. Where my strength is, that's not where your strength is.
Exactly.
We all have weaknesses as individuals, but look at the best. What would you want to have in this country? Like I said, I'm calling upon mostly the young people, but they all should also listen that this country, we need to have it. Buli omu alina ango gyagirabiramu. Kati oyo gokkiriziganya naye ng'olaba Uganda gyoyagala ofuna mu myaka emirala 5 yakutwala ng'oba olonda. And let us be peaceful, respect each other. Buli omu amateeka gamukkiriza okubaako side gy'awagira. Zimwe mpagira side red ng'oli wa yellow, sikuinaako buzibu, tolinaako buzibu. Buli omu awagira kyakkirizaamu, toteekawo olutalo. But at the end of it all, you will be held liable in your personal capacity. Nti olw'okuba gwe owagidde nnyo ekibiina gundi against ekibiina gundi. Nti amateeka go gajja sigala nga gakola at some point. Nti bw'oba olina ensobi gy'okoze olw'omuntu gw'owagire oba okwenyigira mu bintu ebyenjawulo ebyakalulu, then you will be held accountable. So nti buli omu afune side gy'akkiririzaamu. Buli omu alina ebiruubirirwa byayagala otuukako. Manifesto ya muntu ki ekutwala gy'oyagala okulaba Uganda mu myaka 5. Nti oyo gwoba owagire. Genda okole ky'olina okukola. Tolwana. Temwetaba mu buvuyo. Lino eggwanga tugenda kuliekawo. Twalisangawo, tugenda kulibeeramu. Banga lezina abatusobodde kulibeeramu tujjaddirekawo. If we accept that, nti mu kalulu tetulinamu draw, ne bwe tubamu ne draw tujja kukola rerun. Era tujjafuna anamaliza nga wangu. Ffenna tukiyiga ekyo. Tukiyiga buli omu akole party ye. Everybody should do their own role and leave the rest to whoever will decide. And let us remain peaceful. That's the call. Respect each other, treat each other with courtesy, treat each other with respect. Buli omu ayina endowooza ye. If we do that, then I have no problem. I just wish you nothing but the best winner. The best candidate should take it, depending on whatever you believe in. That's my message.
Depending on
what Uganda you want to see in the next 5 years. Any tactics
they used to be the winner.
Yes.
It is okay. We wish you well. Well, thank you so much for joining me and for those insights that you have shared with the Ugandans and the whole world at large. I really want to call upon you, never trade your vote for anything. Be informed, stay alert. Wano ku Mighty Drive, we wish you all the best. Tusinkana olunaku olw'enkya essaawa zigenda kubeera 2 ez'okumakya. Very good morning. Have yourself a good day.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.